I work for an organization that deals in the unexplainable part too. Hello, it's Pepper again. I appreciate everyone who took the time to read the last story. However, I like to emphasize the point of the story was not for entertainment but as a tale to be weary. People of the world are ignorant of the horrors around them, which is partially the fault of the organization I work for. I have another one for you, and this one is especially scary to me. Unlike the yonder from my last story, which has been documented several times and is somewhat understood by the organization, there are only 2 living people who have seen and survived this entity I'm about to list. I am one of them. This was almost 11 years ago. I had only worked at the organization for roughly 5 months. This was the first case I was ever allowed on. I was a level 4 field agent at the time, which meant I wasn't allowed to be on a case alone and had to be placed with a level 2 field agent. The organization doesn't require you to be a tank of a human to work there. Due to the high turnover rate, most field agents don't live past their first year. I'm a short guy, not very muscular myself, and the only thing that kept me alive this long was my brain. The other agent I was placed with was in their 3rd year and he has seen some shit. I didn't even meet the other agent till we arrived on the site. He was the exact opposite of me, tall, muscular, wearing a dress shirt, scars covered his hands and he had one on his chin, and he had a fucking sword, along with 2 handguns. 9mm Berettas. I on the other hand had a flashlight and .38 revolver. At the time I was young and I thought he looked badass. Despite his massive size, people took to calling him Mouse. Most agents had some sort of code name. No, I won't tell you how I ended up with the name Pepper. So first case, said Mouse. Yeah, well, first one where everyone isn't dead when I get there. I wouldn't be too sure about that. Most of these missing person cases usually end with us finding the bodies. There are a lot more cold cases than I care to admit. Mouse's voice was much softer than you would expect from looking at him. They give you the details, he said. Yeah, several missing persons have been reported around the area, ages range from 14 to 44. 4 males and 6 females. You got 2 things wrong. First, 7 females have been reported missing. When was the 7th? Yesterday, a 9-year-old girl. That was the second thing you got wrong. I know it's my job and all, but someone so young going missing kinda shook me. The worst part is she was almost definitely dead. If there was a chance she was alive, we wouldn't be here and the police would be dealing with it. Even knowing that information, I still asked. You think she's still alive? He ignored my question. I knew it was stupid to ask. They tell you about the sawmill? He asked. Yeah, it's abandoned and seems to be the center of the disappearances. There's a legend of a cult back in the 80s that used to meet there right after it closed down. Long story short, the cultist went there one night and they all just floated away. The lady who told me framed it as a way to keep kids away from the place. He said. That's what I'd guess. You always listen to the legends around, especially if we're in small towns like this. Those legends can say a lot more than most people can. I learned to live by that rule. The sawmill is what you would expect from something straight out of the 80s. It was in surprisingly good condition for something abandoned for that long. There was a large wooden building surrounded by smaller ones. Large metal pieces stuck out of them. The whole place did seem eerie. I think we split and check the smaller buildings, then we'll meet at the large one, said Mouse. Yeah, I'll take the left. I moved my way towards the building. It reminded me of a barn. It was red with white stripes and had 2 large swinging doors. Despite that, I decided to go through the smaller door on the right. It didn't want to bust. I had to put my whole weight into it to get it open. It fell off one of its hinges and kinda hung by the other one. The building was just for storage. It had a ton of logs. The wood had begun to rot and it smelled like shit in there. I pulled my revolver just in case. I made my way through the rows of logs, being careful to check each corner. At the end of the final row, I found what made the place smell so bad. It was a deer carcass. It was small and decaying. You would have thought it was young. Till you saw its head in perfect condition, still with large antlers. I pulled my camera, which every agent had. Took a picture for later. Besides that, there was nothing of interest there. I left and made my way toward the main building. I found Mouse at the main entrance. Anything on your end? He asked. Found a dead deer, I said. Yeah, mine was just for equipment storage, nothing interesting. However, something's blocking the main entrance. We can't get in through this way. There is another door up to the right. It's on a balcony, so we'll have to climb. Like I said, not very fit, so climbing up was hard. Mouse on the other hand scaled the side with no effort. The door on the balcony wasn't even locked and we made our way inside. In contrast to the outside, the inside was disgusting. It was old, falling apart, and full of dirt and cobwebs. What you'd expect from an abandoned building. In the area we were in you could load the logs into machinery. The main entrance is where they would bring trucks to load the logs. Honestly, it seemed normal, until we came across the stairs. These stairs lead down, and that made no sense. They'd have no reason to build a basement here. At least to my knowledge, they wouldn't. The stairs, just like the outside, were in great condition. They didn't belong there though. They were nice, like what you see in Victorian-style mansions. The wood was waxed, not scratched on them. I didn't want to go onwards, seemed off. I told Mouse we should get back up first. He didn't listen and just started walking down the stairs. I followed. It got dark quickly. I pulled out my revolver and my flashlight. Mouse did the same, and I couldn't even tell you where he was storing that flashlight. "It's so dark, like it's eating the light," I said. "Yeah, it's too dark." The stairs went on for an impossibly long time. By the end I was starting to get tired. I was so relieved when we reached the end. That relief was short. The room was way darker than the stairs. Even with the lights, we could only see 5 feet or so in front of us. We walked through the room. About every 30 feet or so we would see a pillar. This place seemed wrong, like whoever built it didn't know what a pillar was even used for. Then we came across something. It was large and round and looked like an egg. I was the first one to touch it. "Ugh, it's squishy," I said. "What the fuck? Don't touch it," yelled Mouse. His face was pale. I looked back at it and I figured out why. The thing I was touching wasn't some weird blob like I had first thought. I saw the ears, the eyes, the nose. It was a human. Their head had swelled at a tremendous rate and their body had shrunk. They were floating almost like a balloon. It was horrifying to look at. "Kiki, kill me," it whispered faintly. It was still alive. Suddenly the darkness seemed to fade and our flashlights were now able to shine up to 40 or so feet in front of us. Looking up we saw more balloon humans. Off a quick head count, there were 11 of them. 7 females and 4 males. It was the missing people. One of them was visibly smaller and I knew it was the little girl. We were barely able to collect our thoughts before the humming started. It was off tune. Whoever was humming didn't have a human voice. We were snapping around trying to find whatever was humming. When my eyes met it, the singing started. My mother gave me a red balloon. Oh, we were such pals. Oh, I loved this red balloon. Oh, it was my gal. Then I lost my red balloon. Oh, how the fun shall end. Oh, won't you be my red balloon? Oh, won't you be my friend? The entity's voice was scratchy. After finishing its song it stood from its sitting position. We both had our guns locked on it. In its right hand, it held a pointy piece of wood and its left held a sickle. I have a hard time remembering what it looked like due to the short time we had to look at it. It had on a green outfit reminiscent of the outfit Robin Hood wore in the cartoon minus the hat. It was short, maybe 4 feet tall. Its skin looked wooden like an old doll. Its eyes were human though. That's all the details I can remember. Mouse began yelling at it to drop its weapon. It took a step forward before either of us could react. It was on us. The sickle it held made contact with Mouse's left eye, blinding him in it. I shot at it twice. It was quick to react and threw the wood at me while dodging both shots. The wood impaled me in my stomach, making me bleed from my mouth somehow. It cut the holster with Mouse's sword and other handgun. They both fell to the ground. I shot 4 more times and even managed to hit its chest. A yellow viscous fluid shot out from the hole. That slowed it down enough for Mouse to play the hero card and grab it. "Shoot it," he yelled. I tried, but I had no shots left. It sliced off Mouse's arm and he let go. It ran further into the darkness. I didn't want to let it go, so I picked up Mouse's other handgun and went after it. I figured missing an arm, Mouse would die anyway from the blood loss. Even with my flashlight, it had the advantage. I wasn't the hunter in this situation. It began singing its song again. I realized the meaning of the song this time. It kept making noises and moving through the darkness. It was toying with me, but I wouldn't let it kill me. I was watching its movements in the darkness and I was able to pick up on the patterns. Like I said, brains kept me alive. Just as it went behind another pillar I shot, barely hitting one of its hands. It screamed before moving into the darkness. I ran after it, but it made its way down another staircase. I made the smart decision to retreat and call for backup. Despite what I thought, Mouse lived, making him the only other living person to see that creature. I still talk to him and even ask him for advice on cases to this day. He however isn't sent on many cases due to him missing an eye and arm. The case was decided to be too much for us and was placed with more experienced agents. Despite that, no one ever saw it again. It was discovered the stairs kept going for miles and it was deemed safer just to seal it off the stairs and cut off the public from accessing the sawmill. The human balloons were taken and humanely put down. An autopsy discovered the reason their bodies had shrunk was due to their internal organs being sucked into their head, with any excess space being filled with a gas similar to helium. The fluid was tested as well as the finger of the creature which I had shot off when I hit its hand. Its skin was similar to petrified wood and the liquid inside was a slimy substance that has yet to be identified to this day. I often wonder what ever happened to the creature. Most likely with its home being filled and no one will ever see it again. We never figured out how it balonified the others. Honestly, I think I'd rather not know. Subscribe for part 3.